Hi there. Today, I'm going to share the highlights from the second day of the world's most popular React conference. If you missed the recap of the first day of React Conf, it's already available on the channel, so be sure to check it out. Without further ado, hit the like button and let's get started. The second day of the conference kicks off with presentations on React Native. They boast about the dynamic growth and the major achievement of 2 million React Native downloads per week. They try to showcase that React Native is evolving at an incredible pace. In 2024 alone, 30 new versions of the library were released. And of course, they boast about their largest partners who actively use React Native in their projects, including Microsoft, Amazon, Shopify, and many others. To give you an idea of the scale of what's happening, some elements of Microsoft Word are written in React Native. Even some elements of Windows are written in React Native. I must admit, this impressed me personally. After that, Ricardo talks about the new features of React Native. The main feature is the new architecture. While there's already a lot of information about the new architecture online, Ricardo prefers to show demos to help us understand how much better everything has become. The idea is to apply a blur mask to a person's face, and it really does look very good. But honestly, I'm not very familiar with how such examples performed before. Finally, Ricardo ends his talk by announcing that the new architecture has entered beta status. Congratulations to all RN developers. After Ricardo, Nico takes the stage. The essence of his speech boils down to the fact that React Native is also a very simple library, and all developers face the same problems on each project. And of course, to solve all these problems, React Native frameworks will help us. From this point on, I can confidently state that the era of lightweight libraries for React is over. Both in web and mobile applications, frameworks will now dominate, and the primary framework in React Native will undoubtedly be Expo. And last but not least, Kadi wraps up this section. She elaborates on the specific issues that the Expo framework addresses. There's a lot to cover, so I'll highlight a few points that caught my attention. However, please note that I haven't been actively working with React Native since 2021, so some of the features that are new to me might already be familiar to you. And so Expo uses Expo Router under the hood. I don't think it's a new router, but take a look at how similar it is to the Next.js router. It seems like we're moving towards some form of standardization in approaches, even though we're dealing with fundamentally different devices. How about the ability to write server-side code directly within a React Native application? Quite a familiar approach. Later, Kadi introduced the CNG builder, which helps automate certain routine tasks. For example, writing code to add a favicon. But the more interesting builder, in my opinion, turned out to be EAS. To build a test build for Android and iOS, we currently need to install a bunch of things: Android Studio, Java, Xcode, and so on. Then we have to learn how to sign the builds. All of this is quite a routine and unpleasant process. Now, however, the EAS builder will do all of this much simpler for you. In my opinion, it's an extremely intriguing story, especially if you're an RN developer. I recommend watching it. After that, it seems the conference sponsors took the stage, namely the folks from Amazon. From there, I gleaned virtually nothing except for advertisements for Amazon devices, their store, and a couple of NPM packages they've developed. It's interesting to ponder how much it costs to advertise at such a conference. Moving on. After the break, we were back with Satya and Mofe from the first day of the conference. In the first part, Satya reminded us of how not to write React components covering bad and good practices. This is all part of what strict mode teaches us. In the second part, things got a bit more complex. Mofe was live coding her own React compiler. The idea was that she was writing her own Babel plugin. This helps to unveil the curtain about how it works under the hood, but the presentation is quite challenging to watch. It's more like something you need to develop along with and study simultaneously. After that, Kent took the stage with his talk, "Now You Understand Server Components." He did try to offer a fresh perspective on the topic, but in my subjective opinion, it wasn't successful. The only thing that stuck with me was that he had everyone doing gym at the start of the talk. Next up was Lee Robinson with his talk, React Rhythm and Blues. Despite a 20-minute introduction, his talk ultimately boiled down to rewriting a form using useActionState with server action. After lunch, Ryan Albrecht kicked off with his talk, Solve 100% of Your Errors. It seemed to be another sponsored slot, likely from Sentry, where the focus was more on their product. However, it was still quite intriguing, so if you haven't worked with Sentry or similar tools before, it's worth checking out. Next was another sponsored slot by Mater UI presented by Oliver Tassinari, focusing on CSS in JS. Personally, I always use CSS modules and don't quite get why some people opt for CSS in JS. In his talk, Oliver mentioned they've started a completely new project, Pigment CSS, for handling CSS in JS. It's much faster now, but still slower than CSS modules. Quite ironic. Next up was Mikhail Pierschawa with his talk, Special Computing with React. As you might have guessed, it was about developing for Apple Vision. It's a nice topic, so if you're curious, there's a link in the description. After the break, Aurora Wahlberg-Schraff delivered a practical talk on rewriting a form using server components and React 19 features. This was one of the most hands-on and understandable talks of the day. She walked through the process step by step, showcasing how to refactor a form with the new technologies while discussing the nuances. It's definitely worth watching to get some hands-on experience. And the final talk, which was in 2 parts, focused on the future of React Native. The second part covered many interesting updates. React Native plans to support measurement units like pixels percentages, and much more similar to what already exists in browsers. Finally, position. Static will be introduced, making it easier to work with absolute positioning. Additionally, use layout effect will now work synchronously, just like in browsers, eliminating the discrepancy. Essentially, they've fixed a long-standing bug. They've also literally brought HTML into React Native. It's fascinating to see how similar markup will be in the web and RN in the future. This isn't the entire list, so I recommend watching at least the second part of the presentation. Unfortunately, that's the end of the conference. I'd love to hear which features and presentations you like the most. Leave your comments, hit the like button, and see you next time. Bye.